everyone. This is Alex bringing you a new episode of Gravity Blues, the podcast where myself and my co-host Ren explore our Earth and space-related concerns and interests. And over the weekend, we had a pretty big Earth-related interest. We had the Super Bowl, pretty much the biggest sporting, or at least largest, American, sporting event of the year, but it's not just about the football. It's about the commercials and the halftime show, which we'll be getting into too. And just even in this case, there's some politics in there too. So it was fun for the whole family.
Yeah,
So
I can't honestly, without getting too into politics, but how can this be the first ever Super Bowl that a sitting president has attended?
yeah, that really surprised me because you would think with it landing right after the
Yeah,
inauguration, I guess with maybe like with a first time president, you wouldn't want to because you're just like, you're trying to be. I don't know. I think even with the first time president, you want to like get your face out in the public and people to see you doing, things and things that people like watching football.
yeah.
Like who doesn't like watching
Well,
football?
and it's the most viewed Super Bowl ever this time, but
Yes.
it's the most viewed single night thing in the U.S. So
Hmm.
it is a little wild. I did see the I think this might be a made up number but I think it's real that the security it cost $4 million to have him there.
Wow.
So
Wow.
there is that.
Hmm.
But still, I'm like, this is a huge event. I know that the NFL has like risen a lot in the last 20, 30 years, right? Where it used to not be as big as like baseball, right?
Yeah.
But which I'm sure. I mean, I don't know this. I guess we should look up. Has a president ever been to the World Series? Probably.
I know like presidents have thrown out like the first pitch before,
Oh,
especially after 9/11. George Bush, like that was a big thing. Was like he was at like after following 9/11. Like I'm pretty sure he threw out the first pitch at the was it the Mets game? It was one of the teams in New York. He threw out the first pitch for. So like he was there just in person, to show his face and show
mm,
his support. But yeah, I don't know because yeah, like you said, I feel like the NFL has just been taking over like the United States at least, and has also been spreading across Europe. We have a
yeah.
European Football League now, so you're seeing more, and you've got games in Brazil and other parts of Europe, and I'm sure we'll get one in Asia sometime soon. Like this is, I think there's supposed to be a game in South Africa. I
Wow.
believe I saw too. So yeah, they're going all over the globe. But yeah, like you said, it used to be like, baseball was the biggest thing,
Yeah.
and
A quick
you know,
Google shows
mhm.
that Woodrow Wilson attended Game 2 of the 1915 World Series between Boston and Philadelphia.
That was the
So,
only one.
well, that was the first time it happened in
Oh, that was the first
1915.
time. Okay,
So, yeah,
okay,
so you can see that has happened before, but
right.
100 years ago. So,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
America's pastime.
surprising that football's taken so long. That's
Yeah,
my point.
yeah. But who else but Trump? To be the first one to show up to a Super Bowl game doesn't surprise me. So, um,
Yeah,
yeah,
too bad it was a terrible game.
yeah.
I mean, I get it. If you're a Philly fan, you're probably excited that you won, but even then, are you like it sucked? I mean, come on, like the Chiefs didn't look like they were ready. They were like, "We're gonna stop Saquon," which they did, and
Hmm.
except Philadelphia didn't even try to have a Saquon game. They just said, "We're gonna throw," and turns out Hurts, even though he sucked all year, he was decent in this game.
Yeah, by the second quarter, the game
Yeah,
was over.
yeah.
And you had that Cooper DeJean pick six, or they call him Cooper DeJean in
Oh,
in Philly. Yeah, for they love their John.
well, okay.
Um,
So I saw before the game that it was Saquon's birthday, and
Was it his birthday or I
It
know it was
was
Cooper.
it
It
was
was Cooper's
both.
birthday. It was both of their
So
birthdays.
they were
Oh,
the pregame stuff. It was like, oh, it's Saquon's 28th birthday. He's gonna go crazy, right? Or 28th,
right.
29th. And I was like, oh, the game's over. Saquon's gonna have a crazy birthday game. And it turns out it was a different birthday, and yeah, it was Cooper DeJean, and it's like
That was
22.
his yeah, that was his first like this was his rookie season, but that was his
Yeah,
first pick all year. So to have that on your birthday in the Super Bowl and it's a pick six, like
yeah,
I don't think you
against
can
Patrick Mahomes.
really top that against. Yeah, right. The someone at the time that was being said that if he wins this game, he's better than Brady already 7 seasons in, which is just nuts to think about. And like when I think about it, you do a three-peat and you had one before. You have 4 Super Bowls in 7 seasons, I think, right? I think 7 or 8 seasons. I can't remember how many he's played,
Well,
but
he's been
it's
to
not a ton.
5
Yeah, he's been to
and
five,
lost 2.
lost two now. Yeah, which is still impressive. 3 and 5, but yeah, he's 4 and 5 going into like under 10 seasons being played in the NFL. That's pretty good.
Well,
I'm not going to get better than that.
when you have uh more Super Bowl appearances like than seasons where you didn't go to the Super Bowl, like that is insane.
Right.
Right? That is a ridiculous like stat that he has. And if he
Hmm.
even if he goes next year and loses again, I mean, at that point, he's gotten the team, he's been at 6 Super Bowls. Like that's pretty crazy, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. But I will say, watching the game, he looked terrible. That's probably one of the
okay,
worst games.
dude, I
He
don't
looked
I the
terrible.
picks were bad and his
But
line
there were
was
some
letting me
drops
down.
too.
But there were a lot of drops.
Yeah.
Like the
But
first half, Travis Kelsey dropped it twice. D Hop dropped it a couple times. Some
but some of
bad
those were
ones.
just not good throws though. Like the one to Travis was just it was like all the way like behind him and on the ground. Like yeah, maybe he could have caught it, but it was like really
I
uncatchable.
don't
I
know.
think what was bad about him, he was getting pressure, which isn't his fault. But when he started just seeing ghosts out there because of the pressure. Like, and usually he doesn't get kind of like
Yeah,
rattled like that. So I think that was the main thing was that usually he, even when he is getting pressure, which it was incredible how much pressure the Eagles were getting, and they weren't even blitzing; they were just sending their 4-man line the whole time. So they were able to, they didn't have to leave anyone open, like leave a linebacker,
yeah.
to have like Travis Kelsey catch it up the middle. They could just send 4 and just get there every time pretty much. And I think I saw it was like at one point in the game they were getting pressures like 60% of their pass rushes, which is
I mean, but even
insane.
with that, and like people, I've seen stuff about how he was just getting beat up, and he was, but he was still moving pretty well. Like he was running a decent amount and making
Mm-hmm.
ground up that way because his teams weren't catching the ball, and there's a couple plays where he's running around a whole bunch, and I'm like, yeah, he's adding like 10 seconds on the end of these plays, and he still can't find anybody, and it's at that point it's not him. That's
Yeah.
it's they have so many, like they're just covering his weapons, which is crazy because the amount of weapons they have on that team is a lot.
Yeah, and like yeah, you saw it towards the end where he had D Hop for that touchdown, and Xavier Worthy had 2 touchdowns, but it was just too little, too late, and and I wouldn't even say a lot of it was on their defense as well because
Yeah,
they scored off the pick six, and then the other interception that Mahomes threw that he got hit on that Zach Bond caught. They got the ball at the 10-yard line, so it's like
yeah,
you can't really blame. I think like it is kind of an all around. I think just poor performance from pretty much everyone. There wasn't really one person where I'm like, oh, this person they're playing great. Everyone else is just playing
yeah.
terrible. Everyone I just didn't seem prepared, not mentally prepared, and maybe it was just the weight of being the first team ever. Just to go to 3 straight or to win 2 straight Super Bowls
Hmm.
and then go back again. So I don't know, but like they were hearing that all season. So I don't know if it just compiled into this moment where they just kind of, broke playing a, good team, all around good team.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe it was just a little bit of vengeance too, from Philly. They
Hmm.
came into this, they were hungry, and
Yeah.
they made them eat it. But yeah, tough game to watch. We had some good food though. It's a classic tradition, have the Super Bowl spread. So
Yeah.
we had some chili, we did some buffalo dip, we had some pie.
Hmm.
Somebody brought honey buns. So
Honey buns,
there
just
was
like straight out
yep,
the wrapper.
straight out of the
Oh,
wrapper.
I love that
Yeah.
actually.
So we had lots of good stuff. What about you? Any special snacks?
There's this my buddy's mom makes this awesome like kind of like corn dip, but it's like kind of like a
Mm,
spicy, like kind of has some jalapenos in there. So I was munching on that. We had pizza, yeah, buffalo chicken dip, which it's funny because so like the first time or when they won it back in what was it 2015 or 2016,
yeah,
one of those years.
2018.
2018, yeah, you're right. And we went over his house because like I said, he's an Eagles fan. Um, and we watched it there. And then one of the dudes there called the buffalo chicken dip spicy cheese.
Mm,
So we just call it spicy cheese now, which is
nice.
just it's so silly. But yeah, we had that and had some wings too. That was I didn't
Classic.
have wings in forever, but yeah, it was pretty like typical Super Bowl food. But next day though, I'm like, oh my gosh, I ate
Yeah,
way too much
same,
and drank too much, and yeah, I was feeling it a little bit.
same. Well, we also a little bit of a creation. We had some blue moons going, but when I went
Hmm.
to the grocery store, the oranges weren't looking. They weren't looking too good.
Yeah,
So instead of oranges, I went for grapefruit. Dude, grapefruit in the blue moon. I'm putting it out
good.
there.
It's
Delicious,
good.
delicious.
So I could mess with the grapefruit. I just feel like when a lot of places do the like grapefruit flavored whatever,
Well,
like
yeah,
the
no,
artificial
I'm not
grapefruit,
into that.
it
I'm just
sucks. It's
saying,
awful.
grapefruit slice dropped
Yeah.
into the blue moon glass, perfect.
I feel
Also,
like even a lemon would be good too. I feel like
oh,
a lemon. It could be like kind of like a
ooh,
summer shandy kind of
yeah, that's an
kind of
interesting
thing.
idea. That
Hmm.
might be one to try. I'm gonna throw out there after this pod. If they have it, I'm gonna make a trip over to Graders, and
Okay.
we're gonna see if I can
The chill.
get my hands
Oh,
on the
the
skyline
skyline chili.
ice
Ooh,
cream. And maybe I'll make a
that's
little video for the Instagram or something.
yeah. Yeah, you gotta document that. You gotta get the GoPro on your head.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, every bite.
TV, TV production coming in there. Oh,
Man, do a little
I forgot
twist.
about that. I don't know how I forgot about it, but I forgot about it.
I did eat a lot of chili over this weekend, like I said. So it might be a bad choice because it might be, too much of it. But at the same time, I think I gotta try it. So
Your gut is used to it though, so maybe
yeah,
maybe it is a
maybe
good
it'll
choice.
just be perfect. Right,
Right,
right along the
right.
lines.
Hmm.
Um, okay, let's also talk about what happened in the middle of the game,
Oh yeah, the halftime
the
show.
halftime show.
Ooh.
Uh, what were your thoughts?
Well, I'll just say this before I get my thoughts. I go on to like Twitter. I don't see as much on Instagram. I don't go on the like so there's two tabs on Twitter. So there's like
On
the
the
for
X.
you, yeah, yeah, whatever you want to call it. It's on for you or it's like the like whatever you're following. So like for you is going to be like posts they want you to see, and then the other one's just going to be people you follow. So
Yeah,
I try to stray away from the for you tab as much because it's usually just awful stuff that just makes you feel like horrible about the world.
yeah.
But since since the Super Bowl, I'll go to that for you page, and more than half the tweets are just about the halftime show, and it's really funny to see the difference of opinions between the two.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, but I guess I'll give my thoughts. So one thing that popped out in my head is like growing up, like whenever like I'd watch the Super Bowl with my family, I'd be like the first thing that gets called out is like oh, that person's lip syncing. That person's lip syncing. They're
Yeah.
not actually singing or like doing the performance. So first time it popped in, I'm like, all right, I can tell I can tell Kendrick is actually rapping and rapping like in a live setting like that where you're
Yeah.
moving around a lot. That's not easy to
Okay.
do.
Okay, but that was said not about Kendrick, but was SZA, right?
Oh, she was lip syncing.
Okay,
Yeah,
that was
she
said. It
was
was
lip syncing.
immediately somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, she's lip syncing like that.
Oh yeah. I'll say this. I was not surprised that she was
Yeah,
lip syncing because like no hate on SZA. I love her music, but I think she's kind of one of those artists where the studio quality is going to sound a lot better than what she actually sounds. Which I'm sure she still sounds amazing in person, but I think it is different between like rapping and singing a
yeah,
little bit. There's definitely like I'll give a little bit more leeway. But yeah, with Kendrick, I don't like they had a backing track, but that was kind of like to be expected for some of the parts.
right.
But so like one thing I
So you
totally
want
kind
some
of no, you're good.
Indy's crying.
Indy,
Hey
yeah,
girl,
she
come
wants to
here.
get on camera.
All right, you come here. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, so I just give it some context too. So like he actually, I think it was 2023, performed at the Super Bowl halftime show too because they did like the whole like West Coast Snoop Dogg and I think Dr. Dre
Mm-hmm.
halftime. So and then they had a bunch of different West Coast art or West Coast hip hop artists, and he was one of them. And he did all like his like known big hits like from like Good Kid, Mad City, and then I think he did a few from like To Pimp a Butterfly. So he had already done a few of his songs at the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
So I think he kind of came into this and was like, I'm just going to do all my new songs because I just released a new album and I'm about to go on tour. What other better way? And the biggest song I probably have ever put out in my recording career thus far is like I just put that out too. So I'm gonna and take some shots at Drake. So a lot of it was newer songs. So I saw a bunch of people who were like, I don't know these songs because they're still new, and even though a lot of them are pretty popular, I've seen like on the charts, it's like people are still going to know the older stuff more
yeah.
than some of his
Well,
newer
he
stuff.
played some of the old stuff.
Yeah, he played a Humble,
Yeah,
DNA, and
Damn.
all the stars
Yep.
with SZA, and then yeah, he played the one other SZA song from the new album, I think. But no, but I guess overall, I really liked the performance. I thought the audio mix was kind of bad
Mm.
for some of the parts where it's like I could barely like it was either like the backing instrumental was like too loud or like his vocals just weren't up enough. But I don't know if that's because they're in this huge dome, and I think that sometimes can happen. I don't know. I feel like that shouldn't happen if you're sending it back through the TV though. It probably sounds a lot different when you're actually
Yeah.
there. So yeah, I thought some of the audio mixing was a little weird, but I thought like the actual performance with him and we had Samuel L. Jackson. That was
Yeah.
really cool as Uncle Sam. That was like I think that was his big surprise because he was like, I got a big surprise for everyone, and then I didn't even realize that at the time, but Serena Williams doing the
Mm-hmm.
the crip walking at the end, that was cool too. So
Yep.
no, I would say it's not my favorite performance I've ever seen, but I thought for what it was, I really liked it, and I liked how he kind of did some of his newer songs that not a lot of people know, and which is kind of controversial. But then there's some people who are just like, I can't. He's just mumbling and all this other stuff, which Kendrick Lamar is probably the complete opposite of what you'd call like a
Yeah.
mumble rapper, like Pulitzer Prize winner, kind of thing. So, but like I said, I was kind of expecting a little bit. Well, I was not expecting it to be like every single post I've seen for the past few days to just be, you
Yeah.
know, I either loved it or this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
That's the point. It's like the
Yeah.
response of any of these Super Bowl. Everyone always goes, it's either love or hate. I was fine. Like I'm not a
Hmm.
huge Kendrick guy. I
Yeah.
don't listen to a lot of that genre, but I was like, this is fun. I like the
Hmm.
PlayStation symbolism because it's like Sony and
Yeah.
it's all designed to shout out. Drake and Drake's label, which is Sony.
Yep.
And so like I was like, okay, that's pretty funny.
Hmm.
And then a lot of like the American flag symbolism, which is good because Trump was there, and
Yeah. I
so
wonder what he was thinking
well,
during this. He was like,
yeah,
what
well,
the hell's
and
going
Trump
on?
Trump was only there, I think, for the first half, so he might not even have
Oh,
stayed
he
for
was
the
like,
rest
oh,
of the
that
show.
Kendrick Lamar guy's performing. I gotta get
Yeah,
out of here, you know?
it's like
Yeah.
but I was like, that's cool, the to
Hmm.
see that done, and uh, but in recent memory, you know, these halftime shows have been really big. A lot of different stuff. I went back and watched some of the early ones from like the
Mm.
late '90s. In 1996, it was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom themed. Like it
Was
was
just like the sound, like their composer,
they
like John
they
Williams.
they played some of the soundtrack, but it was like literally like stage performances of like an Indiana Jones on like running a
Oh,
revolver and stuff, and like that kind of thing. I was like, we have come so far.
right. Right. Yeah, and I think like one thing you mentioned is like, yeah, I don't it's hard to get an artist where like a majority of people are gonna, enjoy the performance. I think someone like, like you have Beyonce who like even if you don't listen to her stuff, like she puts on a great show. So it's like I
Hmm.
think like artists like that, which like a little bit more pop appeal, I think like and that also put a lot of time into like the choreographed
Hmm.
dance and what's actually going on. Not saying that Kendrick did, which I was actually impressed with, like
Same.
how many kind of different changes they did. I wasn't expecting that too much, and so yeah, kudos to him for kind of putting so much into what he envisioned, I guess, as his performance,
Hmm.
and but yeah, I think you're going to get the artists like Prince and Michael Jackson and Beyonce who like, and I guess recently we had The Weeknd, but I don't know if he's
But it was
like,
the empty one, right? There was nobody there
yeah,
because COVID.
oh yeah,
So
that was a cool show though. Like
that
he had
was
to fund a lot of it himself. I think
yeah,
like he funded like $1 million or something to be able to put on the show we wanted. And then he got I think we talked about it last week, right?
yeah.
He got kicked out of the Grammys for a little bit. Or they, yeah, it's terrible. But I, I think my favorite part though of the performance was it was when he had like the three or four like backup singers,
Hmm.
and he's kind of going back and forth with them, and they're like, "You got to play our favorite song,"
Hmm.
which is going to be "Not Like Us." But he's like, "I want to play that one, but I'm gonna get sued if I played it because I'm not sure if you saw, but Drake is suing Universal Music Group
Mm.
because he is like accusing them of pumping up like the numbers for Not Like Us and like distributing it to like trying to like, even though he's like signed with them, like they just want to get back at him for some reason. And then he also sent like Kendrick an NDA for one of the diss songs.
Mm.
He was like, yeah, which is just kind of silly. And then he just comes back later in the performance and does Not Like Us, and you have the whole crowd yelling A minor, which is just fun. So
Yeah.
I was just kind of honestly, I was looking forward to the other songs, but I definitely was looking forward to him,
And then
doing doing that
he
one the
had the A
most.
minor chain on too.
So that's what I originally thought, but I do think that's because his company that he runs that does like music and other kind of production stuff
Uh-huh.
is PG Lang, and that like lowercase a is like one of the symbols in
Mm.
the like, yeah, but maybe there's dual meaning. Who knows?
I think that's a easy. This is what it is, but what it really is
But really, yeah,
the
I don't usually wear this A, but I'm wearing it especially
yeah,
because of this. So, but all in all, I liked it, and it's funny to kind of see the uproar from some people about
yeah,
it. So to some groups of people. So
yeah.
uh,
It is that is the best part of all this. By the way, again, a shots of Jameis Winston before the Super Bowl. People throwing crab legs up to him, which was
yes,
hilarious. And yeah, it's
he was going off all week on
Oh
the,
yeah.
we had him doing that, and then we had Miles Garrett demanding trades on
They
radio
had
stations
Miles
down there.
Garrett in
Uh,
that one Super Bowl commercial where he was the nerd.
yeah. Oh, what I forget
That was for
which company that was
the
for.
flag football.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yes, it
Mm,
was a little like, ooh, there he is.
yeah.
Anyway, speaking of Super Bowl commercials, okay, let's talk
Hmm.
about the commercials. I've got a game for you today. Hope you were paying attention up there, listeners pay attention. Here's the game. I've written based on my memory of the commercials. So this I've not rewatched any of them. Okay,
Okay.
this is purely my memory.
You were taking were you taking notes during
No,
the game? Oh, okay. This
no.
is this is impressive, man.
This is purely just I sat down earlier today. It's 2 days later, and I've
Hmm.
written down. So some of these details could be false, but
Okay.
we're gonna go with it. You have to tell me if the commercial from the sentence that I've written happened or didn't happen. Okay, so is it real or
Okay.
fake? Okay,
Okay.
so here's the first one I got for you. Starting off on a unhappy note. Kanye West commercial that sends users to a Yeezy website where they will see the featured item is a T-shirt with a swastika, a white T-shirt
That's
with a black
Yep.
swastika.
That's very true. And I will say, thankfully, the website it was on, Shopify, just took down his website, so we
Mm,
can't sell those anymore,
that's
which is
good.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely insane. I mean, also though, like I get that advertising isn't a moral business, but how do you let that guy? How do you let that go up?
Well,
You know?
they literally had dedicated ads to stopping
Yeah,
anti-Semitism, and then they let that. It's just so
it
it's
doesn't
that.
make sense.
Which I'll say I didn't even so I didn't like I must there were some parts in the during the show where I just wasn't in the room like during commercials and stuff, so I didn't see him do that, but he did the same thing last year, which he didn't have any I don't think at the time he had any anti-Semitic stuff being like sold on his website. um, but he did the same thing. I think it was last Super Bowl or his two
Hmm.
Super Bowls where he's like, go to my, it was just him doing like recording it
Yes.
on his phone. He was like, go to my website and buy all my merch and stuff. And I'm like, before the Super Bowl started, I'm like, I swear if this dude does the same thing again, because I knew that was already on his website because I had seen it on social media, and I ended up I couldn't. He was just spamming, X and all this different stuff, and I with terrible stuff, and I eventually I unfollowed him,
Mm.
which was very sad for someone I like listened to
Yeah.
his music all throughout like high school and college, and yeah, that was just very sad moment. But but yeah, I was just like, I swear if this dude does this again, I just I'm just
Yeah.
done
Yeah.
like even acknowledging anything he does in the future, and he did it, which is not surprising.
Yeah.
So
And then it's just horrible. But I had to mention that because it was just
yeah,
yeah, just despicable. Like I don't understand why that's happening. That he's totally lost his mind. It seems like, and
it's so well. It's also just it's that his mind is gone, and then also just the greed from the Super
yeah,
Bowl to allow that to be posted is
yeah.
just
Well, it was hosted on Fox, but
yep. Hmm.
moving on. Uh, Taika Waititi, okay,
Hmm.
directed a Mountain Dew commercial featuring Seal, the singer, whose head has been CGI'd onto an actual seal singing his classic song "Kiss from a Rose."
Yes, I saw the seal. Was it Taika Waititi that did that?
Taika Waititi directed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that. I was like, I couldn't tell who it was at first. I was like,
Well, yeah, that was
who's
Seal on as the Seal.
whose head is on the seal? And then someone said it. I'm like, oh, okay, wait,
Yeah, the
never mind. That
people
makes
I
sense.
was with were like, "Who the hell is Seal?" And I was like, "Come on."
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
but yeah,
I need to up my game on some seal knowledge. I'm
dude,
not gonna
Seal's
lie.
got he's got an album called Standards, which is like covers of Frank Sinatra and stuff like that. It's awesome,
Mm,
awesome, great album.
I'm tapping in.
Seal is what Michael Bublé wants to be. Okay,
Mm,
I'm putting that out there.
Okay.
One thing, real quick. Interrupted my own game.
Yeah.
Before the teams came out, the Chiefs had John Hamm introduce them, and I think Bradley Cooper did the Eagles.
Eagles. Yep.
Uh, John Hamm is the better get. I'm putting that out there. Uh, Bradley Cooper is cool. He has some good movies, but John Hamm is the better get to have your introduction.
He's been making some moves recently. I can't
Yeah.
lie. Like he's been kind of blowing up. I'm trying to think of some people who they could have had, I don't even think he's an Eagles fan. He's not an Eagles fan, but there's like a pic of him wearing all Eagles gear.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't, it might be photo. No, I think he's actually wearing it all. I don't think it's Photoshop. It's LeBron. But I feel like that would have been even better because he was like dapping up some of the Eagles players before the
Oh, that would kill you though. That would kill
Oh, nah, I don't
Cleveland.
care. Nah, that wouldn't be too bad.
Same week as Miles Garrett leaving, and then you see LeBron.
Oh,
He's
nah,
the Eagles guy.
I'm already heartbroken by it. Nothing can affect me.
You're done. It's okay.
He's more of a like Cowboys fan than a Browns fan, anyways. So he bandwagons
That hurts.
his football team. So
Do better, LeBron. That's all I'm saying.
right.
All right, here we go. Next one. Jeremy Strong, who is one of my favorite actors in Succession, among other things, including The Apprentice, was really good this year.
Mm-hmm.
He's known as a method actor. He sits in a coffee sludge akin to Apocalypse Now, uh, in order to find his character, which Casey Affleck says to his brother, "We should have gone with Damon."
I'm gonna say I don't remember seeing this one, so I'm gonna say no.
That is a Dunkin' Donuts commercial featuring the Affleck
Mm,
brothers and Jeremy Strong. He comes out of and he's covered in the coffee sludge, and
that's actually
they're
awesome.
like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm finding the character," and you're like, "Oh," he's like
Oh.
so like into it. He goes,
Mhm.
I'm full in." It's really good. That's my favorite commercial I think I saw. That one was real. Here we go. Whipped cream commercial featuring a tongue that bursts over the screen and it starts dancing. A lot of tongue. A lot of tongue.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, I saw this one. This one traumatized me. It
Yeah.
was.
It's like, okay,
I don't even think it was that long of a commercial either. It just
Yeah. It
was.
was on there's
It
too much
felt like an
tongue.
eternity. It felt
Yes.
like an eternity.
Okay. Yeah. So that one was real, you're right.
Hmm.
Uh okay. Tubi commercial about being born into a world where our favorite genres of film are based on the shape of our heads. The Western kid, who has a cowboy
Nope.
shaped head, is bullied by the kids with wizard hat heads.
Well, so I guess I saw the dude with the like the skin
Yeah.
the cowboy hat. I guess I didn't. Maybe I didn't see the wizards at all.
Oh, well, that was the beginning of the commercial.
So maybe I missed the beginning because I remember just seeing him like just walking around, when he's like all grown up and he's
Oh,
got like
yeah.
the skin hat
Okay.
on,
And so he
and everyone
walks.
else has the hats on.
So he walks into the bar. There's like three of them. And there was like
Okay, yeah,
there's
maybe I only picked up one of them.
what's that called? Oh God. I don't know. There's a word for like short little things like that. But anyway, he
Hmm.
walks into the bar and they're all grown up. And there's the two kids that had the wizard heads. They're made fun of them when they were kids because everybody was a wizard head back in the day, right?
Yeah.
And he walks in and there's a cowboy bar. And Western's popular now, so everyone's got cowboy hats. And so the wizard
Hmm.
hat dudes have cowboy hats on top of their wizard hats, like
Oh,
hiding their
yeah.
wizard.
I didn't see this
And
one. There must have been multiple
he
2B commercials because.
he goes, That ain't you, partner." And he grabs the remote and he changes the channel to Western, and then they take their wizard hats off, and it's
Oh my
Tubi.
gosh.
And I was like, okay, which Tubi actually had that great commercial. I think it was 2 years ago, where it like the whole screen suddenly just like it was like that somebody started the Tubi channel or the app,
Hmm.
where like restart Netflix and Netflix, and they did that a couple years ago, and it was just the Tubi thing, and like literally where we were, people were like, "Oh, who's on the remote?" And apparently, like
Yeah,
everybody did
that
that.
was like really
Yeah.
smart because anything it doesn't even have to be a narrative, to the commercial. If you can get people to like stop what they're doing, stop drinking, eating, or whatever, and like recognize something weird is kind of going on,
Yep.
the TV. Not too weird, but weird enough to be like, what is this? You know, especially
Mhm.
when it was like Tubi. I don't like 2 years ago. I don't know how well known it really was. You know, definitely a lot more now. I see a lot more
Can
Tubi
I ask you a
Tubi stuff.
question? I see a lot of
Yeah.
Tubi ads too, but have you ever used Tubi?
Um, I think I used the free trial once.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there we
Yeah.
go. There's a Tubi user right there. I have never used it. I've never
Well,
gone.
I
Oh,
don't
I
even
need
remember.
to
Did I
Tubi.
use it for the Buckeyes Texas game? I may have. Or no, was that Peacock? It was one of them.
Oh, well, Peacock
It was one of
had
those.
probably. I don't know. Does Tubi have sports?
I think they
I didn't know
do.
that.
I thought
Huh.
they do. But maybe I have. I know I haven't had like a full time subscription though before. If I had anything, it definitely was just
Yeah.
like a free trial.
There's been a few of these kind of streamers that have come out and then gone away. Like oh, what was the one that had like it was like 2 minute shows. Do you know what I'm talking about? And it like they
Oh,
made a whole bunch of stuff. They were like, our shows are designed for these young kids who can't.
the brain rot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're like
brain rot
two
shows.
minute episodes and like that kind of, and it was like a whole like streaming service based around that concept. And they had like A-list talent coming in to do 2 minute episodes.
You just go on Instagram Reels or TikTok, to
Yeah,
get that content.
yeah.
Mm.
But yeah,
Mm.
so I forget who that was, but they went out of business within like a year or so.
Yeah, there's no surprise there.
Yeah.
No shock.
Okay. One last one. Recreation of When Harry Met Sally from which is a 1989 movie that no one at the Super Bowl party I was with had seen, and uh, they have Harry in his sweater. And 2 weeks ago, this is a side note, I think it was Ben Schwartz who plays Sonic in the Sonic movies, and he was recreating the pose of Harry in that movie because it's like a famous scene where the camera like is over the shoulder and he's wearing like this white sweater, and they compared the two photos and everyone's like, look at the decline of our society where the sweater quality has declined so much over the last 40 years or 30 years even. It's
Hmm.
ridiculous. Like look at these two sweaters and you go, wow, like this is a sad state that the sweaters of our fathers were so much better than the sweaters of today.
Yeah, it's probably so much cozier, so much warmer.
I
Like
mean, just you Google
look
it.
cooler. Yeah.
It's like you can look at it with the the untrained eye that I have and
Uh,
go, that
mhm.
is a shit sweater, and that's a
Yep.
celebrity, like very wealthy guy wearing it. It's like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, compared to what it used to be. So anyway, was that commercial real or fake?
I'm gonna say fake.
That was a real
I don't remember.
commercial.
I don't remember seeing it. I didn't remember seeing it at all.
Oh, who it was like, I think it was like a food. I don't remember who it was for, but I
Hmm.
was like, it had the actual actors, which is cool. They're older now, but I was like, and they also they, I saw like somebody else mentioning this, but they if you go back and watch the scene versus the commercial, which they try to do like a shot for shot thing, of like them talking. It's like this classic thing where they're
Hmm.
talking over a table. But the thing is, in the commercial, the camera is like off to the side on each of them instead of being like over their shoulders. So like in the actual scene, it's really intimate because it's like the camera's right behind them, and it's like you can see his shoulder, as he's looking at her, and it's like we're not looking at from his eyes, but because we can see him in the shot, but it's like much more close. And then in the commercial, it's like far away, and I was like, this is
Hmm.
taking away like the magic of that scene. It's
Right, right. You would think they would try and like follow it, to a T,
yeah.
because
I don't know why they didn't. They just
you
didn't want to
know.
be close.
Hmm. One thing I wanted to I bring up because I think I saw him in I think it was maybe one. It was probably a few more commercials, but maybe I just just used to seeing him in these commercials. I don't. I just kind of find it weird when like one of the not even the player, but like Andy Reid.
Hmm.
Like he was in at least one of the commercials I saw. I think it was the one with his mustache flying
Oh
away.
yeah.
Um, he made. I know he was in a Skechers commercial, but I don't know if that aired. I don't know if that aired the one I saw.
The
But
the mustache
regardless,
flying away, was that Skittles? I think maybe, or
I
Pringles.
don't.
I think
Maybe.
Pringles had. Skittles and Pringles both had like facial hair flying around.
Yeah, flying away. Yeah, but it just it's not like I don't have anything against it, but it just kind of feel weird seeing like one of the head coaches. He's coaching the game, and then
Hmm.
you just see him in this like silly commercial. Like right after, and you go and it cuts back, and he just looks all pissed. I'm just like, I'm trying to think of like,
Well, he does
because like
that.
Andy Reid, they've been in a ton, like you've been in like the
Yeah,
State Farm commercials and all these other
he's like
ones. Like, are there any other
Bundle
Bundle
Rooski.
Rooskies? Were there any Bundle Rooskies?
I don't know. I don't
I'm kind. I
remember.
feel like I would have seen a Bundle Rooski
Yeah,
commercial, but yeah, maybe they didn't have it in the budget.
I'm so I've seen that commercial so many times. I think it's just like
Yeah,
gone through my brain at this point where I tune out.
yeah.
And I like he goes, "Go on, say it." And Pat Mahomes, I do like he goes, "I'm not saying
Well,
that."
no,
But you
yeah.
know what's crazy about those commercials and other ones? So often the the talent, right, or the Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes, or
Hmm.
any players, and the like host guy, if that's Jake from State Farm or like any of the commercials, almost most, I think it is most of the time. Uh, they're not in the same place. So there's a
Mm.
commercial where Wayne Gretzky is with oh gosh, there's an actress from like the 90s. Anyway, but she's there and she's like, oh, who is Wayne Gretzky doing that kind of thing, and they're sitting next to each other, but you can see they're not in the same place in the, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's like it's really weird, like when you can see it, and it's I feel like it's becoming more obvious because they have to like film at different
Don't
times.
don't they do that in some movies too? Like
Y-
if someone can't like yeah, they like set up their own little thing and they try to splice it together. It
Yeah.
just feel and like you said, you can tell when something's off. Like they try really hard to hide it, but
Hmm.
there's always like a little bit of a like, all right, these two sides are not
Yeah.
like these are not compatible with each other. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's just because people are just like, oh, we could save. I don't even know if you save money doing that. It's just like, oh, I'm over here, I can't do the commercial, kind
Yeah.
of thing. But they got to get their stars in there. So
Yeah. It's
how they sell
a
them.
little bizarre, but yeah. Any other commercials that really bothered you?
No, I like the one with the Macho Man, the Botch or Bosch one.
I didn't see that.
That one was, yeah, that one was good. Yeah, I don't know, there weren't really too many that stood out to me too much. Like there were some weird ones, like yeah, we talked about the facial hair just flying away. I'm like, okay, whatever. But there weren't really any that were like, all right, I need to go get this. I need to go get this thing. I need to get
Hmm.
this thing that was in this commercial. So,
There rarely is, but
mhm.
yeah, I mean, there wasn't any that really stuck out. It's so like, I mean, I enjoy the ones that have, that speak to me, which is the point, I guess. But I'm never gonna go buy your product. Like the commercial is kind of dead,
Mhm.
There's the Nike commercials about, I think it's about women's sports. That's cool,
Yeah,
but also, I feel like the point of the Super Bowl commercials is to be funny and weird, and
yeah.
you
I
know,
like. Yeah, I like hearing LeBron say Taco Tuesday on the Taco Bell
oh
commercial. It's
yeah,
just always funny hearing him say that for some reason. I don't know why, um, but yeah, like you said, I feel like the best way to get through to the audience is to be silly and come up with something, kind of creative that you don't usually see in like a YouTube ad or anything like
mm,
that. Because those are always like I'm auto skipping this. This is the
yep.
most boring thing ever. So it's like how to break that mold.
Yep, exactly. So anyway, yeah, fun, but also nothing crazy. I don't know how many of the commercials I'll remember next year. Where
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
dude, there's still. Oh my gosh, it was probably like 5 6 years ago. I think it was Doritos commercial, and it had like the baby flying around, and it was, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That
Um,
was like the only one that it really has stuck with me all these years. I'm like, holy shit. But
there's the puppy monkey
oh
baby
yeah, the
one.
puppy monkey baby. Yeah, that was really.
Didn't that make like a small appearance
Did it?
in one of the commercials? Was it like the because there was the one commercial where they had like all the like it was like the Avengers of commercials, like they had all the big well known like kind of commercial figures.
That's cool.
I can't remember if that thing was in there, but that what was that? Was that like Mountain Dew or
I think
like
it's Doritos.
Doritos?
Yeah,
Doritos?
Doritos.
Yeah, it was Doritos.
Yeah, and on the other
Doritos,
one,
I feel like usually has some good ones.
yeah,
Doritos.
they usually are really weird. That like that one. Paramount last year had the really great one with all of I think it was yeah, it was Paramount, and it was like all their different characters, and Sir Patrick Stewart was in like a football outfit, and he
Hmm.
like picked up Flat Stanley and like threw him
Hmm.
up into the mountain, and it was with you know, take me higher, you know what I'm saying? I was like, this is sweet, but yeah, but there wasn't anything like that this year.
Hmm.
If Fox doesn't have Sir Patrick Stewart, I guess, what's up with that?
Yeah,
Let's
need
quick.
them every year.
Yeah, exactly. Get him on the field.
Right, right.
Uh, let's jump real quick. Switch gears. I want to just talk about video games because video games have been coming out, um, and some haven't been coming out. First of all, uh, I've spoken about my Football Manager addiction in the past. Football
Yes.
Manager 25 was canceled, uh,
Yeah.
which is so depressing to me. It's been delayed twice already, and then
Yeah, I,
canceled.
I can't remember. I can't remember if we talked about this on a pod or not, but I remember we had a conversation about it, and I think that was one thing I brought up. I was like, they're delaying it all the way till like what was it? It was supposed to come out in March, right? Like after the
Yeah,
delay.
yeah.
And I was like, if they're delaying it this far, does it make more sense to just cancel it for this year and then just come out with the new one like at the regular time next year?
I mean,
But
I
that's
guess,
so still sad that they
yeah.
couldn't like at least deliver some kind of
Well,
product.
yeah, and there were supposed to be like updates about it in January. Like that's what they had said, and then there wasn't any, and so everyone
Yeah.
was, in that community was freaking out, and then yeah, they fully announced it. They're fine like business wise because they're owned by, like the company that makes it is owned by Sega, so it's not
Oh,
like they're gonna go out of business. It's
right.
more just like frustrating from the fact that like this is something that you're supposed to be annual, and they're like, oh, here's all these updates that we're gonna add and new additions and new things, and it's like, okay, cool, and then like it we get nothing instead. So
Yeah.
but
Are you still playing last year's Football
uh
Manager, or are you just kind of taking a break until the new
I
one comes out?
usually try to stop like at least a couple months before the new one's supposed to come out, so I haven't
Yeah.
since like
Re
last summer,
refresh it. Yeah.
because I try to like they're not usually that they're not usually like tremendously different, you know what I mean? Like all the sports games, but
Hmm.
there's usually like some pretty big like uh quality of life stuff. And then this one was supposed to be a huge update, so I was like, okay, I need to cut out early. And then yeah, this has been delayed, and I'm like, and now it just makes me sad.
Hmm.
But one thing that has come out that I did want to mention, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
Oh,
It's just came out this last maybe 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it's really good.
well, I've never even heard of it. What kind of style of
So
game is it?
it's like a first person RPG. The first one I think was 2018, and it's like was like an indie studio called Warhorse, I think, and it's the first one is fun. The whole point of the idea of the game is like it's really historical, like a very realism focused. So like even in the first game, which you'll like this, uh, this is like an indie studio made this game. The graphics aren't that good, but if you look up at the night sky at night, it's the actual stars that you can see
Mm,
from where that is on Earth, and because the game's set in like 1200 or something,
uh,
the actual night sky is based on what it would have been at that time. So like they've gone back and charted it for all the way back to then.
that's That's crazy. That's crazy. I know, like, one thing I'd seen recently was um, Neil deGrasse Tyson was talking about Titanic and how, or the movie Titanic, and how the night sky in that movie was actually wrong,
Oh.
and that he, like, James Cameron hit him up when they were like coming out with like a director's cut or something
Mm.
of Titanic. He was like, "Can you help me fix the sky to make sure that it's like historically, correct?" And but it's just, yeah, amazing. I think there's like a whole like website or something too where you can go on and like you can look at, like, go
Hmm.
back to this time and this area of the world and see what the night sky would look like, which is just, I guess if you don't really know anything about constellations, it's like this all looks the same, and over time it's like, yeah, the sky isn't going to change too much, but it's still cool to just see how, things evolve, over
Hmm.
just the matter of days.
Well, and it actually it makes a bigger difference when you go back, hundreds of years, because things like the North Star, which you can see in that game, it has
Yeah.
become more and more north over the last few hundred years. Where in that game, it's more like I think it's northwest or northeast. But it's like it's not the correct direction. So if you try to,
Right.
and the game's cool. It's like I said, hyper realism. So if you play on like the survival setting or whatever, you there's no like map tracker, so you have to like actually figure out where you are, and it's really
Mm.
difficult to do that. And so you actually have to use the stars sometimes to do it, but you have to know about like
Hmm.
yeah. So it's actually interesting that they
Wow.
use that. But the new game is like it's like the pretty close to the first one in terms of all the stuff, except that it feels like they have the money now to make it like a higher quality, which is what it is. And I think
Mhm.
it there's already a lot of talks. There's a lot of games come out this year, but um, if you like an RPG, and it is a tough game, it's really unforgiving if you like uh, miss your sword swing in combat. Like the combat's really good, but if you like miss a block, you just die. In terms
Mhm.
of that, but really good. I think people will like it. I think it might even end up being one of the game of the year contenders. So
Do you know if it's I can look after. Do you know if it's on Xbox at all?
I think it is. Yeah, it should be on Xbox and PlayStation and PC. So,
Okay, cool, cool.
but yeah, so that one's come out, and then I haven't gotten a chance to play it, but I want to try Civ 7 just came out too, so I'll have to report back on that one.
Mm.
But with
Yeah, I
that,
gotta get some more games going.
yeah, well, we're about to be able to do the Baldur's Gate, so we can finally lock that in.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. That's true.
but let's jump and finish outside of Earth's atmosphere, and let's talk some space.
Yeah, yeah. So, kind of heard some bad, unfortunate news recently, kind of about the current state of NASA's space program. Like a lot of things are getting cut right now. And one of the things, or one rumor that's been coming out, is that Boeing is going to be cutting about like a half or a third, or laying off a half to a third of their employees working on SLS, their Space Launch System, which is pretty much the how we're getting up to the moon for this Artemis mission. So, if they're cutting a third of those workers, that pretty much means that, I'm not saying we're not going to the moon anytime soon. It's just, I think the current plan is kind of getting scrapped. So, yeah, it's just really unfortunate to see, all these people have spent so many years working on these programs, and it's not just Boeing, like that affects people at NASA working on Gateway and the Artemis mission, and also other contractors as well that are directly supporting supporting us going up to the moon and then eventually going up to Mars. But like I said, I don't think this means that we're not going to be doing those things in the future. It might kind of come to a different kind of restructure. That's just I do think it's going to be a while until that becomes kind of a possibility again, at least. So
Yeah.
yeah, just really really sad to see that like just as someone that's like you know loves space and like wants us to keep going and sending stuff into space and just seeing that kind of get cut away. And like yes, I know these projects are very expensive, and yes, there's probably way too many people working on them, but you still need those people to get it done, and you need these like different projects for NASA to do. But NASA projects, they're not gonna. There's just nothing's gonna happen. You're just gonna be over budgeting stuff. So, yeah, it's just sad. And it's like we've been monitoring the launch of New Glenn, and that was supposed to help with Artemis. So, um, like things like that are still going to be around, but it's like what's the point of having these things now if like the main thing they were going to be supporting is just no longer a thing anymore.
Yeah, that's super disappointing. I mean, there's been so much, you know, cutting of like these any kind of program that has these highly educated people doing research across fields lately, especially if you're working for the government. So yeah, very
Yeah.
frustrating to see that. I mean, affect the space industry. Oftentimes in the past, even when that stuff has affected other like groups, like in universities, it hasn't affected like our NASA too badly. But yeah, it's super disappointing to see that.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see too if all these cuts do happen, which it's
True.
looking like they are. I'm curious to see what happens if we're not the only ones trying to go back up into space. You got like China and some.
Yeah.
I think even India is trying to send stuff up now. So it'd be really interesting to see if things switch. Say China goes up to the moon, they go back up there. Like does that motivate the U.S. to kind of like put more like focus back into this kind of space
Well,
race, I guess you could say.
I saw China announced that they were going to start a task force for of space programs to try to build a defense system about for that meteor coming in 2032.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm assuming the U.S. is going to be part of that. But also at the same time, if we're cutting back, and China's building this space defense system, well, yeah, it's don't love that idea,
No,
but
it scares me a little bit. It scares me a little. And also go back, we talked about that asteroid. There's now it's 1% higher of hitting
yeah,
us now. It's like three point something percent
yeah,
instead of the 2 that it was before. So, whoo, whoop-dee. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm still learning about, like, I guess I'm not, like, just how the last month or so has gone. I'm not surprised that there's all these cuts, but I guess I didn't think it'd be directly, impacting, like, the future of kind of space and space research, which is like, it just feels like now we're kind of going backwards, and that
yeah,
like with a lot of things, it's just like, what are we doing? I don't see I don't see how this benefits us.
yeah. And we'll have to get into it, but I have that sentiment about a lot of things going on where I'm literally like, is there a reason, or is it just, you know, just because? And a lot of it is just because, like,
Yeah,
and I'm a finance guy. You know, I want economic reasons for things to be cut. If something's going to be stopped being paid into, what is their money reason? And there's so many things where I'm
yeah,
like, that's the opposite of the economic sense, or like the idea. So it
yeah,
doesn't make a lot of sense. But yeah, it sucks to see it affect like this, what is interesting research and what could be sold as, hey, we're gonna compete with other countries in this way that benefits the human race. So right, so it's like I don't know, it sucks, but
Yeah, but yeah, I guess we'll see. Maybe things will kind of shift back after the crazy start to this year.
yeah,
Shift back to kind of get back on the path we were, but um, like it doesn't, I guess, directly affect me yet, but maybe one day it could. So that's why it's kind of got me thinking right now. It's like, oh man, I hope this doesn't get any worse, because a lot of these people, like, same degree as me, same, like, I'm just curious what's going to be happening to the kind of the aerospace industry. And these people they're not going to have jobs, and they're going to be trying to find jobs, and it's only so limited,
right.
at least for in some areas it's so limited. So
And even
um,
in private or an industry, right, you're gonna see these grant money that's coming through is gonna get tighter and tighter too. So
yep, that actually is, yeah, that's one thing I'm kind of seeing firsthand, is like we got these projects, and we're just like, well, we got direct grant money, and it's like, what do we do? Like, do we keep pushing forward on these projects, or do we just kind of like stay back and try to play it by ear? But yeah, it's a really weird. I just feel it's been a weird kind of feeling
yep.
these kind of first month and a half.
Wow. Okay. Well, a sad,
Hmm.
sad
Yeah.
news to end on there for,
Yes. Yes. Sad.
uh, you know, I will mention, we can end on this, and it's the title that I've given this episode, which, I thought made more sense for the Super Bowl, but, we can kind of take it into this year and make it a kind of idea, which is,
Hmm.
I came to chew bubble gum and kick ass. So,
Yes, sir.
you know,
Yes, sir.
uh,
Man, I'll say this. I'll say this too. John Carpenter is like such an underrated director. I don't know. I
yes,
just you don't hear his name, but he's just part of so many iconic movies. Like,
yeah. I
this dude,
I'm gonna
he's
ask
the king.
uh a couple people today. I'll be like, have you heard of this movie? Are you heard of this? Have you heard of John Carpenter? And they're gonna be like,
Yeah,
I guarantee they're gonna be like, who?
they're gonna say no, no, yeah,
Dude.
unless they know ball, which they
There we go.
probably don't. So
There's homework for the listener. There you go. If you were like, what do I watch this week, or what should I do? There you go.
yeah, Big Trouble in Little China. Come on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right. A little weird, but it's a good
Yeah.
movie.
Oh, the very weird, very weird. That's kind of like, it kind of feels like a Super Bowl commercial, a weird Super Bowl
It
commercial.
does. Although anytime that your main character is a semi truck driver, it's like you're starting off in a in an interesting place. Like
Yeah.
it feels so 80s. It is the 80s, but
And you're gonna start in the semi truck, and you're gonna end in the semi
yep,
truck.
of
You just
course.
know that.
Of course.
Whatever happens in the middle is fair game.
Hell
So
yeah. All right, I
yeah,
think we can wrap up there.
sure.
Thanks for listening, everybody, to the
Yep.
pod. Hopefully, you got some good and some sad news. But follow the YouTube and the Instagram. It's in the show notes. And
Yep.
other than that, cheers.
Yeah. Cheers, everyone.